Oh, it is the Matt Mosley Show. What a show it will be today. As we take you to 2 o'clock, we'll hear from some of our talented doctors over at Ascension Providence. Our friends at Central National Bank, our presenting sponsor. Scotty, we're excited yesterday. We had Coach Nikki Collin on, and she was teasing some of their future commercials. And so I think they were excited about that. They even heard her mention Craig, who's in one of those commercials where he's over there working on a donut or whatever. Those are not paid actors. Those are like just good. They just do a good job from C&B. And I want to let everybody know that today at 2 p.m., we will have Colt Barber, one of the co-founders and of SE365. And we got a lot to talk about with Dave Aranda, what Saturday means, what a win or loss over UCF could be, how all this stacks up. And in fact, I was just listening to the old mailbag, some of the Bearcast, some of the things they do that he and Grayson Grunhafer do. And it's been fun working some with SE365. I was at a place where for years where Smokey and I used to be at ESPN together, and then he went over with Sikkim, and it kind of, I don't know, we were not quite on the same page at that time, and now it's kind of fun to be able to talk to them again and hang out in public. Privately, Ashley Hodge and I remained great friends the whole time, and Colt too. But publicly, we could never like do things together. So that's kind of nice. And then they can also use some of this to promote their folks and hopefully promote our show to a certain extent. So we're appreciative of that. And it'll be fun to have Colt on. And Colt, it's good, Scotty, because Colt, where Grayson is more like really talented at what he does, and you know, Colt is more of like, and Grayson's a Baylor guy too, but Colt comes at it a little bit more like my background because his father played at Baylor. My dad played at Baylor. We grew up on this. Now, I probably don't get quite as emotional as he does, but we are emotionally attached because we've lived and died this since we were kids. And Scotty, by the way, you are a product of Baylor parents as well, so you've done the same. And let's bring in Scotty Swingler and introduce him today. He's been hard at work doing all the various things he does at Rogue Media Network, and oh my gosh, appears to have some kind of a brewery type t-shirt.
Free advertising, Brotherwell.
Yeah,
represent Waco, Texas here.
Brotherwell, you better be paying for that. Okay, we will actually demand a wardrobe change if we don't see money changing hands very quickly. I like that B. I like the.
It's a nice logo. It's a good graphic.
Yeah, I've noticed that colleges and Baylor would. Do we have a really good like on the B? I always like that B hat for baseball. The one that just simply has like the gold B. You don't see a lot of it, but it's kind of a fun one. Do we have any lettering that's like the blocked? You know, we have the interlocking BU. Do we have a real block? Because I've noticed like Tech and A&M and Texas all are way into blocked lettering, and that's real old school for them. Do we have a blocked B? Because the B you have on Brotherwell, that's an interesting one, but that's more of like what you'd call I don't know what that B is. That's a different kind of B.
You know, Mosley, once again, I do not have assets prepared for you, but if you will give me a little bit, I
didn't exactly give you a heads up that would start.
Let me give you some. Now I'm preparing some assets. So give me a second.
B. But I feel like people love a good blocked. It's like the one thing A&M and Texas can agree on. Like they love a blocked letter. And so at A&M, they'll have a maroon, the blocked T I think it's just a T on that hat. I don't think it has the A&M or anything. And then at Texas, of course, they have the block. I think the best University of Texas hat ever, and I associate it with like the Fred Akers era of the late 70s, early 80s. Fred Akers, pretty good coach there. He kind of does, because Darrell Royal was so great, and then Mack had his great run. People skip over Fred Akers, but they had some really good teams with Fred Akers. But that block T, and I feel like also Tennessee has a good blocked. They've got a good blocked UT. I feel like, so I like the interlocking BU for Baylor, but the B, it's one that I haven't had in a long time. Just the gold lettering that has a B. I like this. In fact, I'd like to see what Scotty's looking for right now, because I bet he'll produce one. But that's a classic. The gold B. Last night, I actually got some sleep. So today, at some point, I might even be able to take my sunglasses off, and I don't want to scare anybody, because people are kind of used to this. The baseball game didn't go. Like, in fact, I went out and took a walk last night with my wife, and I paused it when it was 2-1, because there were two men on, and I wanted to see what happened with Shohei Ohtani. And unfortunately, they removed him from the game, and then they brought in Banda from the Dodgers, the lefty, and Banda couldn't get it done, and so it was 4-1, and then it was 6-1, and then the game was over. And the great Shohei, I thought they were going to walk him every time. They actually pitched to him, and he had a rough game. I mean, now he was pitching, so he's unbelievable, but the ability he has to focus on hitting and pitching in the same game is unreal. And he pitched into the sixth inning, and the game was 2-1. He was pitching fine. Now he left a couple of inherited runners on. The guy gave them both up, so his line will say that he gave up 4 runs, but it was really, partly his fault, but obviously the inherited runners, the guy that came in for the Dodgers didn't get it done. And Dodgers, one of the reasons you see people like Yamamoto, and even you see guys going a long way in this series. We see Snell in this series too, but Yamamoto especially. It's very rare in this modern, Major League Baseball, for guys to go complete games or even get into the 7th inning. For your starter to get into the 7th inning is extremely rare in postseason baseball. And yet the Dodgers do it. Partially because they've got really good starters, partially because they don't trust their bullpen. And you saw it last night. Now, the bullpen came up big for them in that 18-inning game. And that was a big, but hey, they left Glasnow out there in game 3 for a pretty good while because they just don't love their bullpen. And it's amazing that a team could get to the World Series and be on the cusp of winning a World Series with kind of a so-so bullpen, because most teams that get to this point have great bullpens, and bullpens that can get in there and take, hang in there in high leverage situations. I mean, the Rangers had the good fortune of getting some guys hot at the right time. And so they had good starters, they had great starters, and they had some bullpen guys that kind of got hot for them at the right time. And that's what you need. You don't need the greatest bullpen ever. You need guys that are in a good headspace. The Dodgers the other night got 3 innings from Klein, and it was amazing. It was kind of shocking, and they had to have it, and they got it. In fact, they were warming up Yamamoto to bring him out on 2 days rest after throwing 100 and something pitches. That was going to be rough. That's not exactly what you're looking to do. We do have some Campus Confidential coming up. We got a lot of college stuff to talk to you about. We got college basketball. I was excited to have Coach Collin on yesterday. Always fun, Scotty, when I look and see that when we put all these things out on Twitter and various places, we tons and tons of downloads and views. And so I think people are I think Baylor people, for fair or not, or sad, or however you want to feel about that, are really needing some good news and needing something exciting to look forward to, because football has hit the ditch. And could they win their last 4 games? I don't know. Did it last year? It doesn't seem likely. They got Houston, they got Utah out there waiting on them. Got to go to Arizona. Got a pretty good little UCF defense coming in here. I mean, they're not going to come in here feeling sorry for anything. Scott Frost got his rear fired at his alma mater, got his rear run out of town. He's not showing up anywhere like, oh, Dave, sorry, I know how you feel. I know how it feels to go through this. No, they lose to UCF. I just don't see how this thing's sustainable, and probably a change would be made going to that bye week. Baylor doesn't love doing it. One of the things we'll talk to Colt Barber about when he shows up, there's some money that's going to be owed. They could get a bit of a discount on some of the buyout. It looks like in if they wait till after December 1st. It's about $2.5 million. And I know you're like, what? Come on, you can do that. You can do that. And I think Baylor does have great donors who would probably take care of that. But Baylor's not, they're not LSU, and they're not these schools that can just, $50 million. Sure. To get out of this contract, from a buyout standpoint. And I think I'm hearing it's around $15 million, which again is great, is a lot of money, but it pales in comparison to what LSU and Florida and Penn State, all of them are dealing with, what the Aggies dealt with. But again, the Bears don't have those fan bases. They don't have those huge amount of alums, the huge amount of donors. They don't have that. So they gotta find other avenues. And this is going to be, man, this is interesting for Mack Rhodes right now to be the head of CFP, the head of college football playoff in terms of the chairman, the chairperson. He's got to speak after all these votes. Scotty, do you know when's that first vote coming up? I mean, it's kind of, they now push it back till when you get in November, and then the CFP will start putting out its weekly updated rankings. Scotty, when do we get our first one? Is that coming up? Isn't it November? So we've got the homecoming game here coming up November 1st. I feel like it is in November.
Yeah, it's the Tuesday after, so it'll be November 4th.
Okay, that's all I was trying to clarify. Okay.
Yep. Well, I had to look with you, but you're right. November 4th will be the start of the CFP rankings.
So
old Mack Rhodes will be talking to ESPN, we presume.
There's a chance Mack could have to fire a coach, figure out an interim staff, and
the interim staff part's easy, Matt.
What?
The interim staff part's easy. You elevate Keenan Hall and you move on.
I don't know, man.
That's pretty easy, Matt. You make Keenan Hall the interim head coach. Matt Powledge calls plays the rest of the season, and then you say goodbye.
Well, maybe so, but you also have a former head coach on your staff in Spavital. I love Keenan; he's assistant head coach, but Scotty,
I think Keenan would be a more stabilizing, palatable choice.
Well, let me just say,
for whatever my opinions were.
That's fine. It's fine. Your opinion's valuable, and I like it here each day. But I think what just happened over the past week, what I'm kind of getting at without trying to get too close to it is, there was this Mason Miller thing. The more I'm finding out, reading, and talking to people on that, I think we had a pretty think we had a pretty big coaching blowout argument. And again, I've been reaching out to people even this morning, and I, for reasons, I'm going to try to get even more to it. In fact, I've reached out to Mason Miller. In fact, I was going to see real quick. So anyway, we'll see what all happened. But I guess what I'm saying is, Scotty, the reason I cautioned you, I kind of made the same argument last year. I love what Keenan's done from a recruiting standpoint, all of that. But man, this is, and I wouldn't have any problem with it. I like your idea. I think it'd be kind of exciting to let Keenan run the team and see what he could do and see how they responded to him. You saw how the fortunes of UCLA changed with interim. I think Virginia Tech has played harder and played better with the interim. Now, hardly any of these interim coaches are going to get hired, but you saw Chris Mortensen, his son, the late Chris Mortensen, Alex Mortensen, lead UAB to a huge win over Memphis. Is that right? Because Memphis and South Florida just played. Anyway,
yes.
That was okay. But this thing, I guess what I'm saying is, Scotty, we'll talk about it a little bit with Colt, but there's some stuff that's happened with Mason Miller and his exit that kind of makes me wonder about what they'll do with the interim. So again, all that to say, we got a little sidetracked there. I think what you were saying is, hey, this is easy. This should be pretty easy. And maybe it will be. Maybe it'll be pretty straightforward. Nothing's easy when you got to fire a coach, and then you got to try to keep a recruiting class together, and then you got this and that. And then, oh, by the way, Scotty, then you got to be up in Grapevine for an all day. I mean, think about what that would entail. If you decide to fire Dave Aranda either Saturday night after the game or tell him Sunday or whenever you do it, and then but you're really that Sunday, you need to be holed up in Grapevine, and then that announcement show you're talking about, Scotty, is Tuesday, November 4th, and you got to be the one on camera discussing and speaking on behalf of the CFP. What a time. What a time to be an AD and then to be the chairperson for this. Mac's doing fine. I mean, he's highly paid, and he's highly paid to make these huge decisions and do these things. And one of the things we'll talk to Colt about, is there any financial reason or otherwise that would behoove you in letting Dave coach this season out? Maybe there's some reasons to do it, but boy, it's bad, Scotty, when like the partners of Baylor, you remember Siegmund? I mean, these are good friends of mine, but Siegmund 365, I mean, they partnered with Baylor. They did a very public partnership with, and technically it's Baylor Plus or whatever that thing is. The Baylor Vision, not Baylor Vision, but Baylor Plus subscriber-based thing. You can get some behind-the-scenes Baylor, and they do a good job. This is no knock on this. I think Playfly is kind of involved in all that. But, I mean, Siegmund is a fan forum, a fan site that has partnered with Baylor Athletics. And, they're having to navigate the weirdness of, like, on one hand, like partnering with the school and sometimes paying NIL money for certain guests and things like that, which they've done in the past. And but also knowing that this is what everybody that subscribes to them wants to be talking about right now, is the possibility of a regime change in the firing of a head coach. And I can just tell you this: as much as they've tried and they've done everything to try to help Dave Aranda and try to help make this thing work, man, I think right now the 4-4 start and these two bad losses in a row, they are devastated. I'm talking about the administration. I'm talking about everybody from President Livingstone with Mac, Jovan, whoever you want to throw in there, devastated by what's happened. Because, of course, they know from a financial perspective and everything, they've given Aranda chance after chance after chance. I mean, he's had everything, and they love the guy. Like I think what fans and even media, because again, he has so little regard for the media. It's not that he's like hates anybody. It's just that he has so little regard to the media. He may be able to tell you like one person's name in the media. Let me tell you about Matt Rule. Let me tell you about James Franklin. Let me tell you about, I'll name 15 coaches. Mike Elko at Lane Kiffin. They don't, Scott Drew. All right. John Jacobs. They don't walk into a news conference without knowing, let's say there are 30 people in that news conference that might potentially ask them a question. They know every person's name in that room. Same with Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells, legendary coach. You're like, he did. I mean, the young Mosley covering the Cowboys, 2003. You think Bill Parcells cares? Yeah. How do you think Bill Parcells got to be Bill Parcells? Because he was in charge. He knew everything. He knew everybody's name in that deal. Dave Aranda, I think he might know my name. He certainly knows Smokey's name. I don't know that he knows. I mean, he probably knows Colt, who'll be on with us today. Like, I'm just telling you, this is a hermit. Baylor hired a hermit. He would rather be in a dark room and not having to go out and do all this stuff. And now the problem with being a hermit, if you win, nobody cares. It's like he's our favorite hermit. But when you lose a bunch, you got nothing. Now in the SEC, it doesn't matter. They may love you. You don't think Ed Orgeron was the most lovable guy in the world? Yeah, he was lovable. And he's one of them. He's an LSU. He's a Louisiana guy. He played right down the road. He talks like them. He sounds like them. He was the perfect fit at LSU until he wasn't, until they started losing. And within 2 years of them winning a national title, boom, he's gone. Hey, same thing with those guys at Auburn, won national titles with Cam. They had Cam, Cam Newton, Chizik. 2 years later, gone. They win another one. That coach, gone. I mean, they don't care. They don't care. It's just like, wait, okay, yeah, we're great, but we don't care. So but at Baylor, of course, we view things differently. Had a great year in 2021. Finished just outside of the playoff at the end. Finished whatever the end of that season, 5th or 6th in the country. Had a great season. And he's still here in 2025, even though he's basically been, miserable ever since. Bad ending to a season, horrible start to a season, good finish, 500 mediocre mess. That's where we are. So, but if he had been more like, if he behaved like Scott Drew, or he behaved like Mac Brown, it could have helped him. But this is the only reason I bring all that stuff up is because to demonstrate like how much they've done for this guy. You cannot, no other administration is like, oh, you don't want to do that, Dave? Oh, you don't want to have a press conference bragging on your. I mean, I still can't believe that. 2021, they win it. They have all this great stuff happening. They win all those games. It's time to announce their recruiting class. And I go, everybody else, even Ohio State, Michigan, doesn't matter. Everybody else is doing a news conference about the recruiting class. And somebody said to me, well, I think we're doing pretty okay without one. That's the wrong attitude. That was the Baylor attitude back then from a lot of folks that are still around. I think we're doing okay without doing that stuff. No, that's when you do the stuff. That's when when you're doing well, you get out there and you get excited and you tell people. But they had this coach. You're like, I don't see anything. There's a guy back in when he was still with Dave Aranda 2020, and I had that horrible cycling accident. And to start that season, I was doing stuff with Dave, and I really loved it. I was talking to him every week, and there was a PR guy who was a great friend of mine. I brought this up the other day. He was SID, named Taylor Bryan. And he was kind of, forcing Dave to get outside his comfort zone and do media and do Smokey show and do my show every week and do national stuff. And Taylor Bryan, about a year later, wasn't around anymore. You know why? Because, hey, everybody was wanting to give Dave what he wanted. And Dave Aranda thought that Taylor was maybe, and other people. There was another guy involved back then, Poley and Son, Bill Poley and Son. Nice guy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the guy, but he was managing Dave. He was Dave's like chief of staff. And I think he kind of liked to manage things and didn't like those SIDs coming in and having Dave do things. And so Taylor had to go find another gig. Now he's back at Auburn doing great. But I'm just saying, it's this tells you kind of in some ways how soft this head coach is. Kind of like, I don't like doing all this stuff. Okay, Dave, we'll get this guy out of here. Oh, Dave, you don't want to do that? Oh, you don't want to talk to this TV guy before the game? Okay. And I mean, they have done everything for him. And this is where they are. So again, nice guy. And again, he should do more media because he's actually pretty good at it, but he cares nothing about it. Okay. We got Colt coming up at 2. Let's do a little Campus Confidential next.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform.
At your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
Drive in the fall at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Huge savings and the best selection in Central Texas. From powerful Ram trucks, Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, to adventure-ready Jeeps and stylish new Dodges, we've got the right ride for you. Upgrading, downsizing, or buying your very first vehicle, Allen Samuels has you covered with friendly service and deals that make driving fun. Don't miss the Drive in the Fall event, only at Allen Samuels.
Come by, let's be friends.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we didn't know exactly what that partnership would look like.
What brings you into the bank today?
For the last couple of months, I've been noticing a charge on my account, and I would like to block it.
I see. So you have a charge.
Yes?
And you'd like to block it?
Yes.
I think you should take the charge.
What?
Yeah, I definitely think you should take the charge.
I don't think you understand.
Sometimes you just have to take one for the team.
Is there a manager available?
We love that Coach Colin is all about the team. Once we get the vocabulary down, the sky's the limit.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.
I have Mac Rhodes, director of Baylor Athletics, on the phone. Mac, can you tell Peggy why she should take the charge?
Of course she should take the charge. Wait, are you at the bank again? And who is Peggy?
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Mosley to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code MOSLEY. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
Hey, welcome back. Matt Mosley Show, Underdog. It's not just something that we let Matt Mosley talk about on an advertisement. It's something that I play just about every day, and I need to own it. Matt, I got to own it. I lost. My picks last night, they were bad. Bad picks. If you picked with me yesterday for the first time, I'm sorry. I was on a 3-time winning streak on Underdog, and I blew it last night. So what do we do on Underdog? We get right back after it today. Why let one loss stop you? If you go 3-1 every time, you'll be just fine. So here are my picks for tonight. These are my NBA picks on Underdog tonight. Sabonis got me a lot of bonus victories last year playing Underdog during NBA season, higher than 16.5 points against the Chicago Bulls. I say that's a lock. Baylor's own Keontae George. His season low in scoring thus far is 17 points. So it's easy for me to say that tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers, he goes for a higher than 17.5. And this was one of my selections that won me some money over the weekend, and I'm picking it again. Klay Thompson, higher than 1.5 3-pointers made. The man is out there to shoot the 3-ball. He will make at least 2 threes again. These are my Underdog picks. And now here's how this works. I am not as much of a risk taker as you might think. I did the flex pick. So that means if 2 of these 3 are successful, I win money. If 3 of 3 are successful, I win more money. It's an easy way to kind of give yourself some insurance when you make these Underdog picks. The flex pick, that is how Scotty usually rolls. Use the promo code Mosley. Put in $5. They'll give you 50 just to play with. Bonus cash. It's great. I got some bonus cash when I signed up. It's why I'm still playing. Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Makes watching sports a whole lot of fun. Matt Mosley, when are we going to get you on some of these Underdog picks, sir?
Anything you want. Because I cover and I think about the NBA at all times, and certainly baseball right now, very locked in. So what I would like you to do is use me as a consultant. In fact, there's a man right now in Northeast Texas, and I tell him, I'm like, I'm not putting any money down, so be careful with this. I don't want you mad at me, but I have been advising him on college lines, and dang it, I wish for once that I bet on football, because I've been on a roll. I've been on a huge roll, and
I've got good news for you, Mose. There are ways we can make that happen, sir.
All right.
It is 2025.
Yes. I know, but I don't want to. I just want to advise people, and that's what I'll continue to do. So any kind of Underdog questions you have, or if you ever, for instance, if you find yourself when you're making your Underdog selections and you find yourself leaning toward like Baylor basketball players, don't get away from that. You're too close to it. Last night was the first time it burned me. I had Baylor basketball players on 3 consecutive winning. Oh, that's too much. Here's the thing. Once you've ride the little streak, but then be willing to step away from it. We love things you love. That's one thing I learned years ago. Never to bet against or even for Baylor. Never. I stay away from that completely.
Well, let me give you the other philosophy, and we'll see if I pull it out. I put my college football picks out starting tomorrow, so I'll let you know my Underdog slip for the weekend tomorrow. Matt, I have actually had a lot of success. I think in traditional sports betting, you're probably correct. That's a good strategy. But on Underdog, which is a fantasy game in which you play money, I have found a little more success when I pick Baylor players because I am actually the most educated and familiar with. So, for instance, last year when I was doing this, almost every night Baylor had a basketball game. I did higher on rebounds for Norchad O'Meara because they'd have Norchad O'Meara at like 7.5 rebounds. And I'm like, that man's going to get 12 rebounds tonight.
All right.
Right. And so the general public doesn't know that. I know that. I've watched Baylor basketball. So sometimes it can benefit you. But maybe the Keontae George thing is a stretch too far.
I've been watching VJ continue. They're 4-0 now. He had 14 points last night. Maxey, even this will be interesting because they have a star player now who I'm going to be interested to see how this dynamic works with the Sixers, with Maxey really becoming their star, and how that's going to play out. But man, I would say VJ is just in a perfect situation, and then Grimes off the bench. Can you imagine the Mavs traded him for like nothing? Like the guy they got in return on that deal, or they brought in. It was literally like Caleb Martin, one of the Martin brothers. And Grimes, meanwhile, makes huge shots, very capable of going off for 20 or 30 points. And the Mavs got a dude who scores like 6 points a game. So bad. That guy played at Houston, by the way, University of Houston.
Scotty is a card-carrying member of the Fire Nico Club.
It's bad. It's bad right now. But I'm choosing to. I'm going to hold on, and I'm going to keep watching Cooper, and so I'm not going to go crazy on that deal. Although I was there the other night when he scored 2 points, 2 rebounds, and like 0 assists. That was awful. All right, let's do some. We may have to do some later too because we got a big guest coming up at 2:00. But let's do it a little Campus Confidential. Let's run through some college football and college athletics nuggets. And by the way, just remember, we got Monday at 11 a.m. We should have like some kind of watch party or something and I'll probably just do it alone. That's my favorite watch parties. But the Baylor women, that sounds like something Rogue ought to do. We should all get. It's the first game of the season. They're playing in Paris, France, as opposed to Paris, Texas. And it's going to be at 11 a.m. on national TV.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it will be pretty cool. Okay, Scotty, what do you have for us?
Well, this is a comment that you actually flagged my attention to today. And, we have discussed on this show the excitement around the idea of Coach Ed Orgeron getting back into it. ESPN had him on a radio show today.
Scotty, it's good to be back. It's good to be back, and I'm glad here in Fallujah, some of the places that I've been down here in Tikval.
You're actually too, I can comprehend you too much there, Matt. Your Coach O needs a little more language that I can't even understand. But here was Coach O on ESPN today. Credit to these hosts. Would you take the LSU job?
With Ed Orgeron, 2000 national champion head coach, LSU, here on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio. Do you want to be the next LSU head coach?
Oh, I'd love to. You kidding me? I'm one phone call away. I just gotta get in my truck. I'll be back. I could be there today.
Would you be willing? And I'm being very specific on this. If someone specifically became the head coach, would you be willing to be his assistant? And that someone is someone you've been close with and worked with, Lane Kiffin. Would you ever go back to be an assistant at LSU?
Yeah, I'd consider it. I love LSU. I still got my home in Baton Rouge. I love when I coached with Coach Miles, being the defensive line coach. I love the Tigers, and I'm getting back to coaching for sure. I consider it, no doubt.
Pretty amazing, Matt. Now, his response to the first question should not surprise anybody. Would you go be the head coach at LSU? Duh. And by the way, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Smaller programs such as the Big 12s, West Virginia, and UCF recently brought back some of their most successful head coaches ever for a second run. I don't know that LSU would do that, but not an insane suggestion. But the really shocking response, and I had heard Coach O say, a week or two ago, oh, yeah, in the right scenario, I'll go coach D-line. I'll go. But that man did not hesitate. If there was another head coach you knew, and they named Lane Kiffin, but let's say it's anybody. If there's another head coach you knew, would you go be his assistant? You're like, oh, yeah, my house was there. I mean, Matt, there may have never been a better cultural fit at the college football level than Coach O at LSU when he was there. By the way, complete opposite of Brian Kelly in that regard. There's no way they don't give him a role. Right. They have to call him.
I love the thought. Obviously they're not going to hire him to come back as their head coach, but under the right circumstances, we've said it. Baylor would be a great place for him to get back to coaching. I don't think, based on Coach Orgeron, some of the stuff he's been involved with in his past, Baylor can't make him the head coach. But in a heartbeat. And you're right, at LSU, whether it be the D coordinator, the D-line coach, I think D-line coach would be better. I think the perfect role for him is to be like what Keenan is at Baylor. It is give him whatever position, but make him the assistant head coach.
Yeah.
And then he would be a huge help.
Defensive line assistant head coach would be
they bring
awesome.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So though that is what you bring him in, pay him whatever. He's still making huge money from his buyout at LSU, whatever that was. It's huge. It was enormous. And when they asked him, about at the end of his LSU time, he had that great answer. They were like, when they were like settling, I think it was after he got fired. They were saying, like talking about the settlement, and he was like, yeah, tell me where to pick that check up. Tell me where to go. He's like, I'll get out of town. He's very funny. And he is a perfect fit. The only thing you need to make sure you don't give him too much camera time, because if you bring in a certain kind of head coach, he'll he would not be good for Aranda because he's got so much personality.
Well,
even just his very presence, the team would gravitate to him. But with Kiffin, he'd be perfect because Kiffin takes up enough airspace. Kiffin's funny. Kiffin's enough on social media and all. And
by the way,
Coach O could just do his own thing on the side. If I were Kiffin, this would make me want the LSU job even more. Now, why would I not want the LSU job? I could give you a million reasons. Part of it, that their fan base, you've got a way better chance of staying employed and enjoying your time in Oxford than in Baton Rouge, because you're always one really bad season away from getting fired. Where at Ole Miss, long as you keep doing what he's doing, 9 or 10 games a year, you're fine. You're totally fine. So I think that's good. What are you going to say, Scotty? I'm sorry. Do you have one more?
I'm going to mention one more. I was going to say Kiffin was brilliant on Pat McAfee this week. If anybody missed that, that's a recommended watch. Here's my one other thought here before we get to Colt at 2:00. Coach O is not the only former LSU coach whose name has been floated in the media this week. The other is, of course, Nick Saban. Paul Feinbaum came out and said, I think Nick Saban is seriously considering coming out of retirement to go back to LSU. Meanwhile, Saban's co-host on ESPN's College Game Day, Reese Davis, came out and said, yeah, no, not happening. I would also point out Saban's own comments to this point, granted, you can say one thing and do another, seem to indicate he has no interest in coaching again at this point. He's got a pretty great gig there on ESPN, Matt. But thoughts on Saban's name?
By the way, Colt is with us already, so just know that. I just noticed that. But say that. Finish this. I'm sorry.
I asked you your thoughts on Nick Saban's your thoughts on Nick Saban's.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say one more thing. I think I brought this up just the other day. I think he felt like he had unfinished business at LSU, and I think there would be some things about it that would be appealing to him. I think he probably can't do that to Alabama at this point. He has such an incredible legacy. Everything is great. He's got now a fun life with media. I give this a 1% chance. I think there's part of him that would like to do it, but I do give this about a 1% chance.
So you're saying there's a chance?
1%. 1%. All right, Scotty, do we need to take? I mean, what do we need to do here? Because I'd love to get Colt right on.
Talk's Colt, man. Let's do it.
Cool. Okay, and we'll make up some ground if we need to. Colt Barber.
What up?
Hey, Colt, what's up, man? How are you?
How's it going? Good. How's it going?
Hey, I was earlier. I was talking about the. It's great. I had to leave radio for you and I to be able to talk publicly. Okay.
Yeah.
That was what we were making it happen now. I love this.
Yeah, let's go.
So
YouTube's great.
Yeah, it's great to be with
you. Yeah.
On YouTube, and I like your cap. I like that cursive. I think most people have forgotten. Most people have forgotten how to write in cursive. Do they teach that in schools anymore?
No, what about my second grader's not learning that. So he's very, very confused whenever you start seeing cursive writing.
Is that the Tyler Independent School District or what?
No, we're down in Bullard actually. So
Bullard,
south of Tyler, and it's a nice little community. Can travel up not too long to Tyler, about 10 minutes from our house. So it's a best of both worlds.
Hey, are you thinking about coming into town to? Is it tomorrow? When's this Bryles thing? Is that tomorrow? How are you?
Yeah, feeling? I wasn't invited to that. So, yeah. Okay. No, yeah, I think it's really cool that they're doing that, though. I think it's the fact that he's going to be in Waco, maybe the first time since he was fired. He might be back in Waco for something. But no, I think it's really, really cool that they're doing that, though. I've thought a lot about it. And obviously, our space, as you know, it's a little taboo to talk about. But, I mean, it's how long we're back. This is 10 years now. I mean, it's not like it's recent history.
Yeah. I was wondering about like who will moderate that and like
J-Mo?
No. No. I think that's the one MC opportunity he will flatly turn down.
Sorry, J-Mo.
That would be great to have J-Mo in there. See, I would do it, except for from a journalistic standpoint, I would feel the need to hit on some stuff that I think in that forum they won't want anybody to hit on, and so I can't, but it'll be interesting. Yeah. I think in that room it'll be a big celebration and missing the guy and catching up on old times, and they'll have he'll have his old great quarterback with him. So I hope it. I think he'll feel great. I mean, I hope it's a good moment for him. And so anyway, I know you and I don't want to go too far down that road, but I've gone back and forth on. I mean, I kind of want to be there. I kind of want to see it, but you're right. I might have to. I don't know. Maybe I'll just.
Yeah. So are they? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's cool that it's in Waco. I think that's the end of the day. There's going to have to be that icebreaker at some point. I know he came back. What was it? When was that? He was at George's before the Big 12 championship team that was honored. Correct. And so, he's been around, but to be officially acknowledged, they put him in the hype video for the football season this year. Like he had a little plug in there. And so there's some acknowledgement. And I think the further we get away from that, I think it's appropriate.
And we should say Baylor has nothing to do with this. This is Texas Sports Hall of Fame. And I was kind of wondering if Baylor would even have somebody over there. And the answer is probably no.
No.
So anyway, we'll Colt and I will confer and decide if we want to show up or not. But part of me does kind of want to see it. But then also there's interesting things I would like to hear from him that will not be asked at this venue. Man, y'all's site right now, I'm sure the traffic is going crazy. Siegmund 365. Part of it is I'm on there quite a bit right now. In fact, I was looking at the Bearcast mailbag you and Grayson do, and in fact, Colt, I was looking for you this week. I'm like, okay, what's Colt written about this? What's Colt said? And it's interesting because I think you've kind of had to kind of go in your bunker, and you're kind of deciding, as the co-founder and the CEO, all the grand poobah over there, how you are going to manage all this. But that your subscribers, they demand all this inside information from you, all that kind of stuff. It is interesting because you hate to see it. You hate to see somebody that might get fired, but you also know what people are coming to you for right now. And I heard y'all say something about, like, isn't it weird? Like, part of you thinks, okay, it's our job to, the great thing about Sam Bradshaw is he's going to dig in and look at UCF, isn't he? He's gonna break down that roster. But what do you think the homecoming crowd? I'll start there. Where do you think this is going to look like? Because I'll be on TV 9 o'clock before that game. I'll be hustling over there. You would think usually the parade group's going to come over, and so you get the homecoming bump. Yeah. But you also have people that are really, really down on this program and this head coach right now. What do we think this scene's going to look like Saturday?
Yeah, I think if there's one thing that Baylor fans plan for, it's the fact that you come to homecoming once a year. Even in the bad years, man, like, you'd have a decent crowd when you're anticipating not to win. So I think that you look at last season and you look at 8-4, 8-5, and you say, oh yeah, let's make our plans for homecoming. We're going to be there. It'll be a fun time. And then regardless of how the season goes, probably going to be a decent crowd. Now, are they going to be there at halftime? That's the question. We've seen it, time even when they're good, and it gets to be a little, wonky on the score, good or bad. People decide to leave. Parents' weekend even kind of gets that way. So to me, this isn't probably the best gauge. Now, you get to the Utah game, or you get to Houston to end the season after Thanksgiving, and that's probably going to be a pretty good indicator of where this fan base is. And we've seen it, back and forth. Even the Arizona State game this year was a fine crowd, but not what you anticipate for playing the Big 12 champion, anticipations of a possible Big 12 championship game for your own team. And, you have a lot of empty seats. And that was an indicator for me of where this fan base was. But also, you just got to consistently win, and they haven't done it. And, if Dave Aranda wins, I think that you put to bed a lot of these questions about, will the fan base support him? Because at the end of the day, this fan base will show up for a winner, and he just hasn't done it consistently enough.
They got the open week after. Do you think the way it's feeling right now that win or lose, it's like 50-50 that there could be, this might be the time to change? Where are you there? And then what do you think it makes the most sense from a interim standpoint? Because on one hand, you got Keenan, who's kind of known as the great recruiter. It might be kind of fun to see what he could do, get a kind of a look at him. Spavital is the former head coach, who in some ways is a logical choice. What do you think on those two fronts?
Yeah, if you're going to make a move, I think it was the bye week. I think that has to set up for that, especially, you potentially lose to UCF. In front of a homecoming crowd, that just makes it like a really easy breaking point. With that said, money's tight these days. Like, if there truly is a buyout drop for this, Dave Aranda, you're sitting at, say it's $2 million drop by the time you get into December. That's a pretty big chunk of change. Regardless if you're trying to get a donor to offset this stuff. So I could see this playing out. They might have a decision made, but they play out until December 1 just because finances. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, because if you lose to UCF at home, I mean, how can you really sit on that much longer? And who comes up to the plate to say they're going to make a change and be comfortable with it? So as far as an interim goes, at this point, I would just say it's Jake Spavital. I mean, I'm not sure that I'm giving it to anyone else. He has that experience, and not that they're going to go the interim route to head coach route with anyone that they promote, but if you're going to go an interim route, why would you give it to someone on your staff that wouldn't even necessarily have a chance to get that job? And I'm not saying they're going to go that direction. I'm not insinuating that by any means, but Jake Spavital just seems to make too much sense in this moment to lead this team. I mean, he's arguably has the best position that he coaches on this team. He's a leader of an offense. And remember, Dave Aranda said, I'm going to hire a guy that has head coaching experience to run my offense. And that was the reason he was brought in. And he kind of oversees that day to day. And I think that makes the most sense, especially why would you go the Matt Powledge route, considering he hasn't had a lot of responsibilities in terms of overall team. Dave Aranda took on the defensive coordinator position, as we know, last year. So I think Jake Spavital would just make too much sense if something came to that and Mac Rose decided to make a change.
Dave he did not get it. It's 4-4. Defense has not shown much improvement. I listen each week, and you and Colt, you talk about different things. Hey, try this, try that. Do you give him any sort of a little bit of grace on they have lost a few players, but I mean,
sure.
Again, there's no pressure. Their turnover margin is horrible. Almost every defensive metric I guess he ran out of people. In some ways, he's kind of run out of people to fire, right? I mean, I don't think he's a particularly vindictive guy, yet he has gone through quite a few people. And then when you decide, hey, I'm the one to bail us out, and I'm going to be the defensive coordinator or the defensive play caller, there's nobody else to point to. Like I just feel like he's run out of anything. And so the only thing he has to fall back on now would be, well, we've put this pretty good recruiting class together. We see with some of these other firings, they don't care, right? Yeah. You think LSU the other night when they were talking to their donors and coming out of the buyout, were like, but we've got this great player. We got this great defensive lineman who's the number one player in the country. What if we lose him? They don't care. Yeah. And I think Baylor, though, their recruiting class for 2026 is pretty good. I mean, it's right there around the top 25. Colt, I guess it's gotten to the point where that really is not part of the consideration of this decision, correct?
Yeah. No, I don't think it can. Now, I will say, regardless of who LSU has in there, they're going to recruit, right? Like I think they're in a much different situation. Baylor has to be careful. They have to tread lightly on recruiting discussions because you have a guy in there that can't recruit to Baylor, and then you're up a creek. I think LSU recruits itself, and Baylor can to an extent. It's just a different way. You're not looking at top 10 classes that you're giving up, but you need to be in that top 25, top 30 range pretty consistently, because we saw when Dave Aranda got out of that range for multiple years how it hurt him. And then he's back to this, and that's the argument. That's always been, what are you going to do with NIL? What are you going to do with the transfer portal when you have this in place? And that was my biggest, going back to 2023. Dave Aranda is going to have to do something with those tools to remain at Baylor. He did it for 2024, but now we've seen this year it hasn't held up. And now he could finish 8-4. But, for him specifically on the defensive side of the ball, we can talk about injuries. I said this in a podcast a couple weeks ago. This isn't about the long-standing ability to have a great defense every week. Just give me something to be hopeful about.
Correct.
We haven't seen anything for 2 years. There's some flashes. Last year they were decent creating sacks late in the year. They got plenty of turnovers that kind of propelled them on that winning streak. But outside of that, what have we seen since the end of 22? 23, no. Most of 24, no. All of 25, no. And that's the biggest cause for concern in retaining someone like Dave Aranda is if you can't do it right now after you've utilized the portal for 2 years, even though you've had guys injured, you can't fire someone else. You can't fire your general manager because he didn't recruit well enough for you. He's been there for multiple years, and Aaron Hunt. Like where does the blame go? It doesn't go anywhere but Dave Aranda on the defense side of the ball. And I think there are some, offensively, I think probably doesn't get enough of the credit for the struggles this year. I think turning the football over one has just been a major issue. But you can't rely on your offense to be perfect all the time. And that's what they've had to do this year to win any games. And that's a problem in and of itself. If you're not able to get off the field defensively, your offense in turn feels the pressure of needing to do it all. And I'm sure that mounted throughout this season and obviously came to a head. And now you're 4-4 and looking at a really rough finish if you don't get things turned around.
Colt, who excites you? Like when you kind of start thinking about names, it's going to be a crowded space with so many openings. Yeah. People say, well, you can't hire another defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator. Well, I mean, you can say that, but what did Dillingham do? What did Kirby do? Some of these great coaches out there, what did they do before they got hired? Lanning. I mean, they were, and again, I'm talking about some of these guys are from the greatest programs in the country. I'm not saying you can just dial it up, but some of those names that seemed like GJ, Kenny, that's cooled off because Texas State's had a really down year. The coach at UTSA, I think that's cooled off a little bit because they've fallen off a bit. He might have been an interesting fit. Are there, and some of this stuff you'll want to put on your private site and sure. Which I'm a member of, so I want to respect that. But like when you think about like what would excite this fan base, I think you got to get back. I mean, part of me says you got to get an offensive coach because like when this was at its greatest and when this was the most fun was the guy we were just talking about earlier with Art Briles. I mean, part of you thinks get back to having an identity, which this team unfortunately doesn't really have right now. What is your gut telling you, and what are the people you sort of talk to and about these sorts of things? Where are you thinking Baylor might look?
Yeah, I mean, the last two hires, Dave Aranda and Matt Rule to an extent, which Matt had a background on the offensive line, but he's not really an offensive guy. He was going to hire a coordinator and not run his own offense. Like he was just more of the CEO type that instilled culture, et cetera. And I think that's valuable, but I'm with you, and having someone that's an offensive minded, I don't want to say coordinator, but a head coach. Like I'm not going to say they're going to go after Eric Morris, but he has an identity in his offense and he's bringing that to his next job, whatever it might be. And he's done it everywhere. And now, yeah, you can say, well, it's North Texas currently, it's not anywhere else, but Baylor's not going to be the program to go out and hire insert X Power 4 coach, right? Like it's not going to happen. So you're going to have to take some risks. There's not going to be a candidate without a flaw or without a concern. But I mean, without going too far down this road, I mean, like what Will Stein at Oregon, like he's kind of been around the block. And if you're looking down that coordinator route, someone in that vein might make sense, right? Like that could be a potential type of hire. And, but I just don't know in general what type of battle Baylor is capable of being in for this coaching carousel. Like I don't know if it's a retread. I don't know if they're going to be willing. Would Mac be willing to go down the road of a retread of a Billy Napier or a James Franklin, which he's going to get plenty of attention. He wasn't bad at Penn State. He has plenty of success. He has the resume at Vanderbilt, et cetera. I just, I don't know which route Mac will go, but I'm with you. I think that you have to go. I don't want to overcorrect. I don't want to go away from the idea of a defensive-minded head coach and just leave it at that and go straight offense. I think you need some balance, but I think there's the potential to be an offensive-minded head coach that leans into the run game that aids the defense. So what is that? Do you want to go Eric Morris, who has the Mike Leach roots? I think that's a kind of concern because if you feel like this program's been a little soft the last couple of years, that might not be the route that you wanted to go to switch that culture. So I think there's a lot of questions. But I think if you're going to go on the offensive side of the ball, I'm looking at a power run game and finding someone that is able to spread it out and run the football. Jake Spavital checks that box. Like, if I'm going to go hire GJ Kinney, why not just promote Jake Spavital at this point? Like, I think there's those questions that happen as well. If you're going to go straight offensive mind, well, I mean, Jake Spavital is a pretty good offensive mind, but he has the concerns of his time at Texas State. So I'm looking on the offensive side of the ball as well, but someone that can instill a culture of running and being physical. And that's why I like, maybe a Will Stein makes sense. Like, he's been there at Oregon, what Dan Lanning and what they have done on both sides of the ball. Obviously a lot of talent, but he's been instilled, and he also knows Texas. So just an idea, just a thought of someone that could be a possible candidate, but I have no real insight on him specifically.
All right. And Will Stein was at UTSA and probably played the biggest role in Novosad when they flipped him to Oregon. I think Will Stein was probably involved in that. The Mac Rhodes, I had to laugh today because I did think, I've just noticed, like, on your boards and everything, again, not giving anything away here, but have you noticed, like, they always pick that same picture of Mac? And it was the first time I scrolled down and actually looked at the pants and the shoes, and I did have to chuckle. I'm like, okay, this is why they keep using this picture of him.
He has a suit for every occasion. Like, you see him, and he's dressed accordingly. So obviously that particular situation was a celebratory event, and I don't know exactly what it was, but he's got his styles for everything, man.
When you see people kind of fed up with him, this will be a huge hire, and we'll see who he brings in to help him and all that kind of thing. He's been known to go lone wolf, and he's been known to go really silent. Other places we kind of like hear this and hear that. And boy, you were at we were hearing, I remember even the diversionary tactic of hearing about Gundy on one of those hires. Might have been when they hired Matt Rule, and that Gundy actually did show interest. I don't think they ever talked to Mike, but I think Mike actually reached out. I don't think Gundy's a candidate here. Mac is on this one right now. There people are mad at Aranda, but this is the first time, and not the first time, but Mac's getting more and more heat. You and I both know him pretty well and have spent a lot of time both publicly and privately, with him. I guess what we both know is this is huge. This is he got a 10-year extension. It's not like Baylor's looking to move him or anything, but we also look at other schools, and when football can't get it right, somebody's going to have to pay at some point. But think about how weird this is. Mac now has to possibly fire a coach Saturday and then get ready and go vote on college football playoff. And then, oh, by the way, he's the chairperson for it. So he has to answer for their deal every week. So on one hand, that's an exciting thing for Baylor to have somebody representing them like this. But he's got a lot that he's dealing with right now. And I sense that I think he's pretty upset. Like, just kind of like they've given this guy every possible chance, everything he wants. Oh, you don't want to talk to any of these guys every week? You don't want to do media? You don't want to do that? We'll let you do anything you want, and yet it hasn't worked. It's not working. Where do you think Mac is in all this right now?
Yeah, well, I think you and I both know, and I think that enough people know him that we can speak on the type of competitor he is, and publicly and privately. Like, I think the things that maybe people take at the face value and say, well, maybe I believe that, but the things that he says about being competitive, I truly believe that's who he is. And so you start talking about these moments of making tough decisions. He's not going to be the 80 that throws his coach under the bus, but there's tough conversations being had. I believe that fully. And you're right. Like, this is a guy that I don't want to say went to bat for, because Dave Aranda was so well respected out of LSU, but he made that leap when he possibly could have gone another route after what Matt Rule did of being able to hire a coach. And he went this route, taking a leap of faith, and this guy could be here for a long time. And I don't want to say overcorrected from Matt Rule, but I think he went that route of like, who's going to be loyal to me? And he was going to be in turn loyal to them. So he wins a Big 12 championship, a Sugar Bowl, Dave Aranda does, and he extends it and goes through. I don't even know where the contract goes through, but since then, I think there's been these milestones of unforgiveness of decisions by Dave Aranda. And I think Dave Aranda is so transparent and honest that it hurts him of why we moved on from Ron Roberts, why we didn't use NIL, why we didn't use a transfer portal. And I think if, maybe PR, he can cover his tracks up a little bit better. But as far as Matt goes, man, I just don't envision him being okay with this. I think he understood that he did not do what he needed to do personally through NIL and transfer portal, probably NIL specifically early on. And he was willing to give Dave Aranda grace for that because he's partially accepting responsibility for not leading his athletic department in the right direction. But now that's 3 years ago. I mean, that's 3 seasons ago, 4 or 2 seasons ago, however you want to calculate that. And he's given him every resource to fix that. They've gone above and beyond with recorrecting NIL. Dave Aranda's had the opportunity to evaluate who needs to evaluate and bring in, and those continue to not produce the high-end results, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. And so I just don't, Dave Aranda, Mack Rhodes mentioned it, I think publicly, even that he brought in a defensive-minded head coach to have a good defense, and he hasn't had one now for 4 consecutive seasons. I mean, every defense has been outside the top 50 in F plus, FEI, S&P plus, all those advanced analytics for 4 straight seasons. And I from a competitor standpoint, I don't believe Mack Rhodes is okay with that. I think that he understands the predicament they're in, but he also understands the evolving landscape. And I think that's why he's been hesitant to do anything before, possibly now.
All right. It turned out, Colt, he was just a really horrible hire for NIL. And of course, NIL didn't exist when he got hired. He was cut off the national championship. So I think even Mack would have to admit, now that he's watched this play out, and what we'll never know is, like, would Joey have been better? Because of course now he has these massive resources. That's a hard one to know. Joe, if the NIL had been in place, we might have been able to take a look at those 2 individuals and go, well, this guy may be a better fit to help us with NIL. But again, it didn't exist. It didn't exist at the time. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, I would say even on that with Joey, I mean, until this year, where has Tech been? I mean, that's my honest assessment. Until they had an unlimited budget to go out and get what he needed.
Yeah.
I think that you could have put him at Alabama with that budget, and he turns out something pretty good. But before this season, when Cody Campbell was willing to say, hey, here's your unlimited checkbook to go out and get the guys that you needed, I mean, he's been an 8-win coach. I mean, that's the reality. And would that have translated any different at Baylor this year with a limited budget compared to what he had at Tech? I can't envision that it changes that much. So I'm anxious to see how that plays out. But it's hard for me to retrospectively look back and say, oh, Joey McGuire should have been the guy.
Yeah.
And I'm in agreement there. There's no proof that he would have done anything different at Baylor without that excess of funds.
He would have connected better with the fan base than Dave from a personality standpoint, but that's probably
but would Baylor fans be willing to hang on to a 7-win Joey McGuire this year after the same path that he endured at Tech, or would they be discontent?
I think they'd be, I mean, just from I don't know. That's good. I think right now.
I don't know if we could.
Right now, 7-4 looks like a pipe dream.
Sure.
And so it's hard to say. He had the right personality for West Texas, especially following Wells. So he stepped into the perfect situation, and he was great for Rule. It's just interesting because in some ways he owes his entire career. Now, he had a great high school, what he did, but think about it. He's taken Matt Rule's blueprint in pretty much everything he does, and then he's gotten this huge cash fund that came, shooting out of Cody Campbell's gun. It'd be nice to see what it would feel like to have a Cody Campbell. So it's like, on one hand, I laugh and go, okay, where were y'all before this massive amount of funds? But on one hand, I'm jealous, right? They're sitting there with 1 loss and may, have a pretty decent shot to be in the college football playoff. And Baylor's not anywhere close. Can't sniff it right now. But
I'm in full agreement. I mean, I think if it was throw, donor X, Bob Simpson or whoever that was willing to say, hey, here you go. Here's your $50 million budget for the next 2 calendar years to exceed your expectations on the football field. Well, Dave Aranda might have done pretty well this year too. And I it's just so hard to tell. But I think that's where the disconnect is. Like, Dave Aranda's willingness to connect has been a burden for this program. And it's from the connecting with fans, connecting with donors, whoever it might be. This was something that went back to the 21 season when they were reluctant to promote massive matchups with Oklahoma and Texas late in the year. And not that fans didn't realize what was going on, but could you imagine going through a season and knowing that we're not going to really get the hype and marketing that we experienced in the Art Briles years of those big matchups, the blackouts? And I don't know if we would have ever experienced that. We didn't in 2021 because I think there was a lack of emphasis on that area of the program to not let games get too big, to not be bigger than the moment. And I think that hurt the program in long term.
Yeah, and they didn't build on it. They had great success. And their answer when I said, why aren't y'all doing a news conference about your recruiting class, was, we think we're doing pretty well. You think we, instead of, this is when we should be telling the world about Baylor. We just had this great season, and they didn't do enough of that. Hey, Colt, thank you, man.
Absolutely.
Fun to be able to visit with you.
Let's do it again.
Y'all do a great job, and love having Grayson on. And Ashley occasionally seems to know stuff about hoops. And so
he does.
Good to get him on. And unfortunately, we're back to that place where we're like, okay, we need our men's and women's basketball to be exciting, to give us something to look at. But we also have this possible coaching search, and that'll be great for Siegmund 365 and all your folks. And so you hate to have to do it, but at the same time, it's going to be huge traffic for you guys. So I'm a member, and I encourage people to do that. Thank you,
I
Colt.
appreciate it. Thank you, Matt.
You bet.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, there he goes, Colt Barber, joining the Mosley show. And as I said, Colt and my dad, they both played at Baylor, played football. So my gosh, we come by it naturally. And we've been dealing with coaching searches, and our fandom of Baylor goes way, way back. His doesn't go as far back because he's a little bit younger, as you can probably tell by looking at us, and the fact he said he has a second grader. Okay, my daughter's in college. Okay, Scotty, let's we need to hear from our partners. Then we got something great coming up from Ascension Providence later in the program. But all of that coming up next, and we'll come back and react to this.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we were hoping Coach Collin would bring that championship mindset to do whatever she has to do to take our workplace culture to the next level.
Well, these donuts are pretty good.
Guys, how we doing?
We're good, Coach.
Craig! What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You have to dunk it.
So far, I think our employees are really enjoying it.
Not everything's a basketball thing.
Did you say something, Craig?
No, ma'am.
That's what I thought.
Dude, I think she likes you.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.
Bubble wasn't here. I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
At Matt Piffle, we believe in celebrating your journey. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mappiffle.com and start celebrating your story today.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia. Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
WhyPersonalLoans.com. Request a loan anytime. Our partners can offer loans up to $35,000 with varying rates and terms. Review your loan offer with no obligation and decide what works for you. Visit PersonalLoans.com today.
This is what $500,000 in a duffel bag looks like. Actually not real. That's because it's actually prop money. It looks realistic from a distance, but up close you can see it says for motion picture purposes. Visit PropMoney.com today to get your money seen or money shot right with Prop Money Inc.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. U-Like.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform
at your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
Matt Mosley Show. So glad you're with us today. I am delighted to be joined by Ascension Providence's Ro Adeshina. He is a pediatric sports medicine doctor with Ascension Providence. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Good. Well, so we're both parents. Mm-hmm. So we have kids that are active and love to play sports. And my daughter's only 17 months old, and she's already excited to kick around a soccer ball when she can.
Nice. Good sports choice.
Absolutely.
Sports choice.
What are some common injuries that you see this time of year in your work?
Good question. So probably the most common thing I see right now are fractures. I love kids being active, being outside, playing, but of course, things happen on the playground, on the field. Most common thing when it comes to upper extremity, wrist fractures, clavicle fractures, and then the lower extremity, ankle fractures, foot fractures, things like that. In fact, yesterday, one of our friends came in, their daughter was playing some game I'd never heard of before on the monkey bars and fell, hit her foot. She's got a foot fracture. She's in a wagon now for some stuff. So yeah.
Man, didn't even just hearing about it. My dad heart is like, crushed. Yeah. Okay, so I've never gone through this, so you can literally just give me the advice, and maybe someone else watching will benefit as well. Daughter, son falls. Mm-hmm. There's always a lot of screaming and crying, but it's clear. Always. Okay, all right, something's wrong. There's that quick bruising, swelling, or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what do I do?
So I always tell parents, especially the ones who feel bad when their kid comes in with a fracture that they've been sitting on for a couple of days. I'm like, if your kid falls and their wrist or ankle looks really weird, I firmly believe that you as a parent would be like, that's not normal. So if there's some obvious deformity, then you know you got to go to the ER for sure. If a kid falls and they're crying, you do have the ability to kind of wait and see how it progresses over time. If it continues to swell, like they really don't want to walk with lower extremity, you can definitely go in to the urgent care or the ER. Tend to find people prefer to go to the urgent care because it's quicker. Sometimes, though, you do get limited in terms of what you can get because they may not have the appropriate like brace or device to help immobilize the injured body part. Sometimes they end up just sending you to the ER anyway because they might say like, hey, we don't really take care of kids here and what have you. But as a parent, you do have a second to kind of like chill and just, calm your kid down and just kind of get your bearings a bit. Of course, like I said, if something's like obviously not looking like it's supposed to, well then, of course, yeah. So
yeah. Totally for my curiosity, how do kids tend to respond to those kind of injuries and then the necessary treatment? Is it more difficult than working with adults as far as like, you have to do this, you have to stay off your feet, et cetera, et cetera? Like, how do kids generally respond when you have to treat them for these injuries?
When it comes to kids, it's one of the reasons why I got into pediatric sports medicine in the first place is that like kids don't lie. Like if they're hurting, it's very obvious. Like I remember once as a fellow, this kid came in, the kid had tripped at home, and I kid you not, for the whole 10-minute visit, this kid was standing in the corner like a flamingo, like would not put his leg down. The mom's like, yeah, this is how he's been for the past like 3 days. Like as adults, sometimes like we push through and just kind of we'll deal with it. But no, if kids are hurting, they'll tell you. That's one of the things I appreciate about taking care of children and teenagers. They will tell you when something's happening.
I think that's so true. And it's so funny. They're so honest, can't hide things very well. Exactly. It's great. Well, one of the things you work on a lot, and we did have some conversations earlier this week with Mary Cantu about this, but you see a lot of concussions.
Yes.
And, for me, I think I always have to tell people like more people get concussions playing soccer than playing football. Like you can get a concussion doing just about any kind of athletic event.
Yes.
So, what would be some of your advice to parents regarding concussions? What are some things maybe you see commonly that people mess up or that people get right? Like what's kind of your general advice for parents dealing with concussions?
Good question. So I tell parents, you can't avoid concussions because I see kids who get concussions who don't play any sports, who were walking down the hallway, slipped on a wet spot, fell, hit their head. So it can happen. Okay. You have to try to mitigate the risk of whatever activity or sport your kid is doing. Okay. So for example, if you're a parent of a kid who plays a collision sport like ice hockey, football, lacrosse, you have to understand the fact that the purpose of that sport is to hit people hard, which means you have a higher risk of a concussion than if your kid plays golf or anything like that. Okay. One of the other things that you can help to ensure to minimize the risk is proper technique and coaching. So like, for example, football is the big thing that a lot of people know about when it came to like the heads up campaign from the NFL to get kids to tackle with wrapping their arms rather than trying to spear and things like that. Making sure that they have proper fitting equipment. Okay. Because when it comes to whether it's a hockey helmet or a football helmet, if it's not well fitted, it's not offering the protection that it really can do when it comes to trying to lower your concussion risk. And then also overall exposure. So there's been more of a movement, especially when it comes to football, with trying to get kids into tackle football at a later age so that they're not exposed to as many hits. So now, of course, we live in the great state of Texas and we love our football. So I'm not going to poo-poo on like Pee Wee football and stuff like that. But like as a sports physician, the anatomy of Pee Wee football kids does lean more towards them getting injured because at that age, as you know, your arms are really short, your head's really big. It's just hard to like really wrap. And also from a coordination standpoint, they're just not as coordinated as like you're a 14, 15-year-old and stuff like that. So actually in other countries like in Canada, they took checking away from youth hockey. So like they are not allowed to check until I believe like 12 years of age when they start. So in the younger ages, they're not allowed to check at all because even they've recognized if we can try to lower the overall exposure of hits to when they're older, you could potentially lower the overall risk of injury. So.
And again, we kind of covered this week, but I think it's helpful to bring back to mind what are parents looking for if they suspect, maybe they know their kid got clocked or it's what am I watching for to kind of tell the difference between you bumped your head and oh no, like you need to go see the doctor. You might have a concussion.
Yeah, good question. So this is where it gets tricky, because if you get hit in the head, the symptoms might present immediately, but the one thing about sports-related concussion is that the symptoms can be delayed up to like 3, 4, and 5 days after the injury. So the way that we approach this is that, for example, if I'm covering a game, I see a kid take a hit. That's a kid that I'm taking off and evaluating, and I am more likely than not to pull that kid for the entirety of the game after the evaluation, because those symptoms can be progressive. So as a parent, if you see your kid take a hit and they get up and they even look for a second that they might not really seem to be there, you want to be very diligent to get them off the field of play, have them evaluated before they return, because the last thing you want to do is to send them back in when they really do have a concussion, they take a hit, and then you're have a lot of issues after that. So,
yeah. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. How can people find you and come see you at Ascension Providence?
So I work at Ascension Providence Orthopedic and Sports Medicine. I am the only pediatric sports medicine physician in the great city of Waco and in McLennan County. So if you have a child or a teenager with any sort of injury, you can come and see me and we'll take great care of you.
The one and only, the guy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today on the Matt Mosley Show. We'll be right back.
Everybody at Equilife really has a passion and a real interest in helping people feel well. How much further can we go to get you feeling even better? It is a complete partnership between the two of us.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops made clean, made to clean.
It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
I am obsessed with helping business owners increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. It's this amazing platform where people are looking for ideas, inspiration. They have a problem and they're actively looking for a solution.
It's hard to find supplements that work. No, thank you. Plant-based supplements made from the Earth's most powerful plants for your immune health, gut health, workouts, and more. Find out more at auraorganic.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
It is the Mosley Show, back in the studio doing what we do. And, I brought this up, Scotty, with Colt Barber about Art Briles being in town. And I had thought about, I hadn't talked to Art. I mean, I text Art from time to time, but knowing that in some ways what this is about tomorrow, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, we had that talk with Bryce about this. It's like, that's going to be, looking back with Bryce Petty at those great years, those great football years. But then obviously the scandal and everything will probably not be touched on at tomorrow's Texas Sports Hall of Fame luncheon. And so the journalist in me, it's just like, well, I mean, it's hard to kind of discuss one huge thing. Yes, those were great years and those were fun times, Baylor football, without like somehow. So anyway, I had talked to you, Scotty, off air about like, should we have Art on? And this is the most Mosley thing ever. I finally, Monday, I think I thought, you know what? I can bring some of that stuff up. I think we can handle this in the appropriate manner. He is a longtime friend of mine, and quite honestly, we've got, we're growing the audience, and we got a lot of Baylor people, I think, who would enjoy that, hearing from Art. So I reached out to Art. Scotty, I didn't hear back, and so I just thought, my feelings weren't hurt. I just thought, he didn't want to do it. That's okay. Scotty, I just was going to wish him well, say, hey, hope to see you soon, or kind of thing. And about an hour after I reached out about, having him on Tuesday or Wednesday, talking about today or yesterday, Scotty, he had responded with how much time do you need? And I missed that. I missed that text. So I've reached out to him, and we'll see. We may do it tonight. We may tape something with him and see what he can do. We may not. We may not. I may have missed my opportunity, but just this tracks, because I'll never forget, like, when he was coming back to coaching at Mount Vernon, Scotty, somebody reached out to me to tip me off that this was happening. And I just happened to be that day swimming when that went down. I got off the air at 6. It was hot, crazy hot summer day. And I jumped in the pool. And that's why somebody was trying to tell me that Art was coming back to coaching. So who knows? Scotty, these things have a way of working out. Maybe I was not supposed to do this, but yeah, interesting stuff. Scotty, jump on here with me if you're not still talking to physicians. Man, that was interesting. The pediatric, I didn't totally even know that existed. Pediatric orthopedic surgeon / doctor.
Sports medicine, pediatric sports medicine.
Uh-huh. And that was very interesting. I liked him. First of all, he just seems like a really cool guy.
He was fun, yeah.
Yeah, and I think y'all talking about. I always when we hear from our folks at Ascension Providence, I always find out something new, and it's just fascinating to, first of all, to even go into that field and go into that field of medicine and pediatric. Wow, that's interesting, because you see people that become pediatricians, but
right.
This is a huge specialty within that field. I once had a doctor buddy, Scotty, that went all the way through medical school, was ready to be out, put in all that time and money, and he literally decided, you know what, I think I would like to be a pediatric. What do you call that when you put people under for surgery? Anesthesiology.
Yeah.
And he then went and did an additional 6 years. You talk about something specialized. He's ready. He's out. He's ready to be a doctor. And he's like, you know what? I think I'd like to learn how to be a pediatric anesthesiologist. And that's what he does. And he's a great friend. And one year, my daughter is celiac. And so she, that's a whole gluten-free type thing. And so had to do a pediatric, when she was a little girl, had to do the biopsy to test for that. And that was kind of a neat deal. I mean, it's scary anytime you have to put your little kid under for anything. But he was the one who did it. He was the one who came in, did the anesthesiology, so that then they could do what they needed to do. And again, fortunately, it's a very straightforward thing that they do to test for that. But it's still scary. You're a little kid, your little girl, you're taken in to have to go under to do some kind of thing. And he was the one who did it. So anyway, but boy, that was pretty cool, Scotty. And so sometimes, I enjoyed watching that interview, and we love our partnership with Ascension Providence. Two things, Scotty. First of all, just shake your head at me on this Art Briles thing, because I have once again, And I started, Scotty, because I never know exactly what you have to do right after the show. I honestly started to ask him, can you come on at 3? And I'm sure you have things set up and you need to go do some things. What I've done is given him a 5 to 9 window tonight. And Scotty, whether that would one of our fine staffers, Mike or Z, somebody should be able, hopefully, to jump in and help me with that if we can get that done. Because the Z-Man works with me off hours a lot. You work with me sort of on official hours. So we'll see what he has to say. But I'm sure he was wondering the same thing I was wondering. I was like, well, dang it. I gave it a try. And so, Scotty, I literally was going. Have you ever done that with a text?
Yeah, I have.
Somebody didn't respond, and you go back and you realize, oh my gosh, they did respond.
I have. Matt, my friends will tell you, generally speaking, I am not a great texter to begin with. I am the worst about seeing a text come in and going, I'll get to that. And then I never do.
Yeah.
So certainly I have absolutely had moments where I thought, man, that person never got back to me. And yeah, hours or days or weeks later.
Yeah. And I kind of thought, I honestly was a little bummed because I kind of thought, you know what? Now again, have I been the most supportive person in the world? No. But I have stayed in touch, and because I was on in the top 5 market, and this thing happens, and everybody's getting fired. You get presidents being just basically fired. You get the head coach, the AD. All of that happening, and suddenly as the guy that I'd positioned myself. I didn't really position myself. I was just honest, huge Baylor fan that I am. People knew me as the Baylor guy in Dallas-Fort Worth media, and then I had to come on, and I couldn't necessarily come out and go, this is a witch hunt. They've done Art wrong, because I didn't know, man. I didn't know exactly. I've certainly since then read everything, talked to lawyers. I have a more well-informed feeling on what, understanding on what happened. But I'm just telling you, it was not a time where people were racing out there other than just Baylor fans. I'm sure there were some fans that were like, Art didn't do anything wrong. It was a bad, dark time. Tomorrow is going to be about having Art come back, and a lot of people celebrating the great teams that he had and the fun that he brought to Waco and the incredible program that he had, the football program that he had. To me, as a journalist, you can't tell the one without the other. Now, the problem is there's a certain Baylor fan, and I get it, where you don't want to hear me ask him about the scandal. But I'm like, how do you tell the Art Briles story without what ended his career? Like, it doesn't even seem responsible as a journalist to not hit on that, what ended his career. But I would be interested in, okay, what have you been doing? What have you been up to? So anyway, I'll see. I just saw that one of our commenters in the comment section was saying that I should do it. I should do the interview, and that they think I'm the right person to do it. That's nice. That's kind. And maybe in some ways I am, just because I kind of understand the people that were angry and never want to talk to him again or never want to hear from him again. And I understand the people that still love him and love what he accomplished and think he was railroaded and all that kind of stuff. I've heard from both, by the way, and I certainly have my thoughts, and at the appropriate time, I don't mind sharing that. Sometimes I'm thinking we got enough problems at Baylor without trying to rehash what happened with Art Briles at the end of his time. They're about to, possibly fire a coach. That was good stuff from Colt today, covering a lot of ground and getting into a lot of things. And I thought that was good. He talked about a lot of possible coaches, even mentioned, and Scotty, that's a name you and I will have to dig more into. I know about him. He's not new to me, but I need to kind of dig in on his possible readiness to be a head coach in college football. And that's that name that Colt brought up, Will Stein.
Will Stein made my piece.
Okay.
I'm working on a piece.
Well, feel free to share. What, like a podcast?
I will share when it's ready.
What is this? What piece?
I will share when.
Are you writing? Are you writing something?
I'm writing. Yeah, just an overview that Matt, I thought about every single category of candidate and just about every viable candidate that might get interviewed for this job. There are 30 names. And I am actively working on this piece. It's a lot to sift through 30 names. And I will publish this piece if and when Baylor decides to make a change.
Now we're talking about like Substack, Bear Illustrated.
I think I'm going to publish it straight on X. I've thought about starting a Substack. I don't know if anybody would subscribe. I already have a couple thousand folks that follow me on X, so probably just going to publish it as an X article.
Hey, I think we are going to start putting our show on Twitter, which would be good. I think helpful. But anyway, I love the fact that we're getting a lot of people interacting with us, downloading our interviews, reacting. And Scotty, one of the things we'll need to do, and you need to help me with this because you're great at all the graphics and social media stuff, but love it or hate it, this is a time where Baylor fans are going to be out there looking for information.
You're right.
Analysis, maybe perhaps measured takes. There'll be people looking for any take, right? But I mean, like, there's some places where you'll get the wild day takes, kind of like, we'll be somewhere in between. We'll have fun. Now, we will not have fun at the expense of, we understand that people are going to lose their jobs and staffs and families will be looking for new jobs. And so we'll be nice about that part of it. But we're not going to act like this is a funeral. Nobody's dying here. In fact, the head coach who's probably about to get fired will end up with huge money. And then, he'll get hired immediately. Like, think about that. Everybody hated Jeff Grimes. Horrible, horrible, horrible. He's been hired twice since this. He got hired at KU and then got hired to be the offense coordinator at Wisconsin. Maybe they'll move on from him again. Who knows? But football coaches who have demonstrated that they can coach will get hired. Now, will Dave Aranda ever be a head coach again? It'd have to be at a different level. I have a hard time thinking somebody would talk themselves in. Because you have 6-7 years of tape now, going back to the 2020 season of Baylor, of some rough stuff. You got one good season, you got one kind of blah, you got one good ending, and you got a lot of bad.
Yep.
Okay, a lot of suck.
Matt, let me tease you with one more name to think about that I haven't heard anyone else say, but it's being floated in amongst my friends. Could Mack Rhodes go back to the well? Do you know who the current head coach at Temple is?
Oh.
It's Casey Keeler. Casey Keeler, who, let me pull this up again, has a 276 and 115 career record, is currently has Temple the best they've played since Matt Rule was there, and he won the national championship at Sam Houston State.
How long has he been at Temple now?
This is his first season at Temple.
What's their record?
They are, I believe, 5-1. And do you know? And have you noticed, Matt, what has happened to Sam Houston this year immediately upon his exit?
Correct. They're not good.
They have cratered. Casey Keeler, he's not a trendy name.
How old is he?
He's older, but as someone else pointed out, so is Kurt Signetti. What's the point? If you can get a program builder.
No, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not.
Yep.
I was just.
I believe he's in his
Yeah.
early 60s. I believe he's like Signetti. I think he's in his early 60s.
Wow. So he would have followed Fritz at Sam Houston, maybe?
Yeah, he just left Sam Houston.
I'm just wondering if Fritz went to Tulane, probably from Sam Houston, and maybe Keeler followed him. All right, well, we need to look at that. That's no
Keeler was at Sam Houston from 2014 to 2024 and won the he went 10-0 and won the national championship in 2020.
He did follow Fritz there.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you just go hire Fritz?
You know, he's on my list of 30. He's on there.
All right.
I don't think my question, and this is why I've heard people say, talk to Dillingham, talk to who. I mean, I've heard. My question is, if you've already got a big Joey McGuire, if you've already got a Big 12 program at the top of the conference, why would you leave to rebuild at Baylor? And maybe Fritz would. Houston does not have the same kind of resources or facilities that Baylor does. But if you're already at the top of the Big 12 where you are, why would you start over at Baylor? It's just a question. Fritz is in my article because I think they should think about it. But I just don't know why he would leave Houston to come to Waco.
Interesting. All that's interesting. I was just sitting here thinking too, is like, how can I attend if I want to show up tomorrow? How do I do it? But I guess I could attend and then race over. Surely we could start a little late one day, Scotty. Let me think through all that, right? We're because we got our big time 1 to 3 show, but we have Art speaking at 11:30 tomorrow. I got to think through a lot of different things.
Well, maybe I'll see you in studio tomorrow, Mosley.
That's right. That's right. That would be. What if we brought Art straight to studio after the talk?
I'm in.
Oh man, come across town, sit down with Mosley live. See, he might want the non-live. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, lots that'll happen between now and tomorrow's show. We'll keep you posted on everything. Great stuff from Colt Barber today. We'll pass that around to everybody. Thank you, Landing. Thank you, Brazos Landing. We love you. We love what you do. We love the Bang Bang Shrimp. I like last night. I had some queso, pretty good queso, pretty good, white, kind of that Blanco white queso at a place, but it wasn't. Got the queso, the table side guacamole, and the in that mango salsa at the Brazos Landing, and I didn't even experience it until Scotty was in my life. And Scotty's a man who'll kind of look at a menu and go, "I'll have that, and that." And so then you can experience all kinds of fried goodness and everything. So we've been appreciative of the Brazos Landing. Thank you, Central National Bank, our presenting sponsor. Thank you, Ascension, for continuing to send all these doctors our way. What a tremendous partnership that has been, really for both sides, because people find out about these incredible doctors, and then we get. I take notes sometimes when Scotty's asking these questions, and they'll say, "Well, do this, this, and that." I'm like, I'm taking notes. Like, okay, do this for my ankle. Do this for my. Scotty, have you had a weight loss doctor on yet? That's what I'll come in and do that one. Okay, because I really need some free advice. I'll do that. Okay, we got to go. We've gone well past. After 2 hours, they stop putting us out there. In fact, I think we're bleeding into the time. I think Smokey and them are late today because I've bled into their time. It is the Mosley Show with Scotty Swingler, for Corey Dickman and the whole gang at Rogue Media Network, my man Z, Brazos, the whole gang. We say good night.